Awesome.
Awesome.
Welcome to episode 6 of Not Financial Advice.
I think it's episode 6.
I believe it is.
I believe
70% confident.
70% confident after we forgot to edit the last one.
We call it Pete's ski ramp.
Snowboard ramp, if you ask Jazz, but either or. It's much cooler.
We have some exciting news coming to you this episode. Pete's going to tell you how he built his snowboard ramp.
Digital
I have some
racehorses.
Digital racehorse discussion. I have some insights and some dwellings I would love to share and discuss with my friend Pete. But I say let's jump straight in. Pete, what do you reckon?
Let's jump straight into it, my man.
All right, I'll start. First. I'll get my out of the way for you. You know, you got to have the Mini Cooper move out the way of the Big Mac truck that's going to be pulling around the corner any second. So this week, I have lost money for the second time. How much? Exactly how much I gained last week. Why? Because I made no investments this week. Head on across over here. I'm in the exact same position as I was last week. I exited out of this IPO that didn't do very well. Discovery basically has hovered. I think it was actually up a bit from last week, like 60, $70 on that. Apple is obviously, I'm holding 50% of my cash here in Apple, which is up here. And that dropped $3 on that share after earnings. I think people were building up pre-earnings. As soon as they announced their earnings, a few people dump it. And so that's down to only being up 5%, which I'm not complaining about. So I'm holding Apple. I'm holding my Curio card, which is about the same. And I'm still holding HCW Biologics, which is another IPO that I got into, and it did not go well. To talk about that, none of these IPOs that have IPO'd since this IPO have actually profited. There's been several, even Robinhood, the actual app that a lot of people choose to get into these IPOs with. Everyone knows Robinhood, the trading platform. My dad even messaged me and he's like, oh, Robinhood's IPOing. Do you think you can get me into its IPO, pre-IPO on the Webull app? I'm like, oh yeah, we'll put $1,000 in each. Forgot to put it in. I think negative associations from all these rough IPOs that I've been going through. Forgot to put it in. Check back the next day. It was down 8%. I'm like, good news and bad news, Dad. Forgot to put it in. Good news is it was down. So, I mean, we'll get into takeaways further in. I'd love to hear Pete's update. But this week 6, mark my words, it's the end of IPO season for Benji. I have not invested in anything new. One, because I've been a little bit busy, but two, also haven't had very much confidence in anything. Haven't been doing too much research. And what I was talking about last week is really simplifying things. So I have the two things I talked about last week, my Etsy store going up, bringing a little bit of business into this business and not financial advice podcast. And the second thing is following DumbMoney and Chris Camillo, I believe his name is Chris Camillo here. Who has a proven track record and a challenge that is basically if anyone's had a higher return than him in the last year and is using about the same amount of money that he's using, he'll donate $100,000 to their favorite charity. He's donated nothing because no one has said that they've matched his returns on their investments. So he's undisputed at the moment at being the best investor, is a social investor. We'll get into more of that if you haven't watched the first couple of episodes. But yeah, I'm just riding Apple at the moment, sitting a lot in cash. $13,000 is in cash. And I'm looking to make some big moves, which I'll get into after.
Love it.
What is going on with that ski ramp?
Before we go into mine though, just looking at yours, and Apple is really interesting this week because they posted their earnings. And I don't know if you saw their earnings and why their share price dropped. Did you have a look at that at all?
I did not.
So, and this is super interesting, right? So Apple was expected to make $73 billion. That was the expectation on Wall Street. And they made, I think it was $81.4 billion. Right? So they smashed it by more than like 10% basically, which normally means your share price goes way up because you smashed expectations. It was a 36% growth year on year for the same quarter. Like that is unreal. Whoa. And their share price went down.
Especially for a company their size.
Yeah. Like 82 billion goats. Like, wow, like that's ridiculous. Unreal.
So did it go down because people were expecting it to be higher than that?
No, they were expecting lower than that. So
It
went
rallied.
higher.
It rallied a couple of weeks earlier because they were forecasting to have smashed their expected earnings.
Yeah, and the 73 was what they were forecasting as the smash of expected earnings.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they hit 81.4. The reason it went down is Tim Cook talked about some supply issues over the next 3 months in the silicon, so the chips within, I guess, the iPhones, iPads, and computers then, and hinted that might mean this quarter could be slightly lower. But when you look at it, I would look at that and go, it's an awesome time to be buying Apple right now. I'm sorry. I think personally, I would buy Apple right now because I wouldn't tell anyone to do it. Because if you look at it, they've made more profit than ever by so much, 36% growth year on year, smashed earnings by 10%. And like they're not going to find a way to get over this supply shortage they have in silicon. Like,
yeah, and to touch on that Apple stuff too, and why I've chosen Apple. I mean, everything that I own is Apple. I'm on a MacBook. I got earpods. I've got an Apple Watch on. I've got an iPhone. I've got an iPad, a stylus. Like everything is Apple because I just love Apple. So does everybody else. So it's like something I use. It's a little social art, but everyone knows everyone uses Apple. But also, if you have an iPhone recently, something big on their latest update, it starts asking you if you want the apps you're using to track your data or not. And it's like, well, Facebook and Facebook ads, one of the biggest companies in the world. Everyone knows Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, they're on Instagram, they're on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, their business is starting to come under a little bit of pressure because the hardware that people use to access their software is not controlled by them. It's controlled by Apple. And Apple have basically power moved Facebook because they make money off tracking people's data and then selling that to advertisers. Now the end user, who Apple care about more than Facebook, and sorry, Apple care about the end user more than Apple care about Facebook. They're now starting to block Facebook out a little bit. And of course, it's not going to affect anything really long term, but it sort of shows really short term, but it really shows who does actually own the power of attention. And it's like, at the moment, it's Apple.
Interesting. Very interesting. So I think we'll see some big things from Apple. And I imagine the next quarter, because they had a dip right now, there's a large gap, I would say. In my opinion, I'm thinking like 2 to 4%, 2 to 5% even, of where that stock price should be if they hadn't have made that comment about the silicon. So very, very interesting there. And I think that's something that I may look to invest in personally. Not saying you should, but I'm just saying that there's definitely some thought process there around that.
Take options, short-term options. Like money. Got it.
Could be good. Could be good. Now, let me just jump into... Actually, I'll share screen on this, and then we'll get stuck into it. This is the results that they had. What was it? Yeah, 81.4 billion, up 36% year on year, and quarterly earnings per diluted share of $1.30. So, golly gosh, that's some big numbers there. Okay. Now, I'll jump to mine. They're big numbers, but no.
Talking about big numbers.
Talking big numbers.
Cross right into Pete's mouth. Wow.
Wowee. So you can see we're up $3,400 or $3,500 this week. Now, a lot of that came through crypto because the crypto market has just shot up since Amazon said that they were going to be taking crypto payments, and Twitter, I believe, said something about that too. And then Elon Musk has, I don't actually know, I haven't looked at it, but I imagine he's probably jumped on Twitter and said something cool as well. So we're sitting about $3,500 up there. And a lot of that is the crypto. My crypto investment's about $3,200 up at the moment. And if we jump to this sheet here, you can see my Tyro investment is currently sitting at 0% change. We've bought it for $3.47. It's currently sitting at $3.47. Big reason for this is Australia is in the middle of a lockdown. What we do here in Australia when we get a case, we lock down, fucking ruin everyone's lives, and we open back up again and hope everyone's still smiling.
3 months later.
3 months later. Webjet we have over here, and that's actually gone up, which is nice to see. So we're 3% up there now because everyone can travel that's not in Australia. So we're starting to see that rising because people are hopefully going to start to see some profits coming from overseas. In fact, really interestingly, the UK opened up the 19th of July, and they just took all their restrictions away. They called it Freedom Day, and wow. They're expected to go, because they're having 50,000 cases a day. They're expected to go way up. What they found is they're down to like 10,000 cases a day now since they opened up. So it's gone way down. And there's lots of different theories around why that may be. But I guess they do have a lot of people vaccinated. A lot of people have already been exposed to it. And now it's really just younger people going out, and they're the ones who are more affected, but they're also the people who are more likely to be completely asymptomatic. So very interesting. And I think we'll continue to see these travel stocks rise. And then the other one over here, which I talked about last time, was Scentre Group, or Westfield in Australia, New Zealand. And it had a big dip when Sydney, started having more and more cases, and Victoria, SA was still in lockdown. So I decided to buy some at $2.48. It's gone up to $2.60, which is a tidy little 4.84% profit for the week.
Very tidy, sir.
Sits us over here at about $395 up. But hoping to see Tyro go up a lot more, especially as we start to open up in Australia next year. And Webjet, and Scentre Group. So these are three stocks that are very exposed to lockdowns. So they're three that I expect to be going up a lot over the next few months as we increase our vaccination rates, as more and more people are exposed, become less fearful, and we have less and less lockdowns or threats of lockdowns. So I imagine we'll continue to see those rise a lot. And if you do want to learn a little bit more about Scentre Group and Westfield and why I chose to invest in that, if you look at the episode 5, is this 6? Is it? Episode 5. If you look at episode 5, it goes into some of the reasons why that I chose to invest in this one here.
Great reasons. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it.
Amazing. But I think it's time to sort of get into today what we've been researching, what we've been learning, because like you said, you haven't made any investments this week. It's not like we're making heaps of investments, because you don't want to just be trading all the time. I've made one investment over the past week, and I've got one thing I've been really working on behind the scenes here, which I'm really excited to share today. But I'd love for you to go first, because I feel like there's something exciting. Have you seen my feet though?
Pete's feet's OnlyFans.
Pete's feet. Oh, all right.
So yeah, I'll jump in and go first. But first of all, congratulations on that long snout, sir. That is the snoz if I've ever seen one. Which I appreciate your very long snout. One, because when I do look at, oh yes, here we go. Where's the snout?
I actually couldn't find that one, but I'll go this one.
Can we just hold on? Let me stop share for a second. Can we just appreciate how big Pete's shoulders look
with his tiny little head?
Tiny head. That's so funny.
I look so much better as a cartoon. It's ridiculous.
I don't know, man. Although you have a wide snout in that cartoon. I appreciate your ski ramp, because when I look over here and we're in week 6, and I look over here and there's just like a couple of $100 in it, I feel like we've wasted a lot of time. Well, I feel me personally, I've learned a ton, and now it's like, okay, for the next 6 weeks, I need to put what I've learned into action. Because I look up to a man with a big snout like this, and I would love to one day experience that joy. But I would also like to do it, I'm not in the crypto market in this challenge. I'm a little bit outside this challenge, but actually not too much, because I guess for me personally, similar to IPOs, it is very much out of my control, and I don't feel like I have any advantage in the market. But for me to increase consistently over time how much money I'm bringing in, I need something that I feel like I have control over and can be like the backbone of this challenge. And if you're like, okay, you've got 6 weeks to create a business, I'm like, I'd be so much further ahead than if I danced around in like NFT land and then did a little crypto day trading. And then I bought Apple, held Apple, bought Pixie tankers and racehorses. But so yeah, I'm like, okay. And I was talking about this last week, but I need to be like one thing. It's going to be 2 things, so it shows you my shiny object syndrome. But one thing, and absolutely make it the backbone of your challenge, so that in 12 months, like you've started, like it's very simple, not easy just for me to start a 6-figure digital business that can really, like, I check in and I should have made that week at least $1,000. And so what we were talking about last week Actually, I might open a private browser so we don't get any. Yeah, cool. So we get some real data in here. Is I'm opening an Etsy store. Why? Because Etsy has absolutely skyrocketed in growth, both as buying and selling. I've been telling people who are artists to sell on Etsy for about 2 years now, and wish I started 2 years ago. And I wish I invested in their company 2 years ago as well, which we talked about last episode. But
alcohol gifts.
yeah, so interesting. So interesting. So this is always fun to go through. What is popular right now on Etsy? What are people?
What is Face Mask Adelaide doing in there?
So I looked at that,
Holy
and
shit.
Adelaide went into a lockdown. They mandated face masks, and so Adelaide face masks, because this is geographically ranked. Like this is obviously for Australia in here, and these are like Port Adelaide or Adelaide face masks.
Yes.
So something like this, it's interesting because I don't know how they've got the license to use the AFL stuff. There's people who do it like, I'm not sure what Port Adelaide's official logo looks like, but there's people who do like a P and an A in their colors, and it's like, cool, that's not copyright because everyone's allowed to use P and an A in a blue and a white color. But when they say Port Adelaide Football Club, that's a little bit more borderline. But for me, I need this to be as hands off as possible. I don't want to be stitching face masks in my basement to try and chase Pete's snout down. So I need a digital product. And a digital product that I use and Pete uses is a journal. You still journal, Pete?
I still do journal every day.
I journal every day, but one this year. In 7 months, I've missed one day. I journal every night for about 10 minutes. And I do it on an iPad Pro, and we make templates for it. So the software we use is GoodNotes. And they call them basically GoodNotes planners, GoodNotes templates. There's GoodNotes calendars, teacher planners, studies. They have nurse planners. I've been doing a little bit of research in here, but essentially you can see this is similar to what we do. We more use as a journal, and the popular ones are the planners, the one where they can schedule in a calendar. And I'm like, okay, it's not going to be as easy as I think. I can't put an hour a day into this and hope it's going to take off. What I'd like to do is like, cool, for the next 6 to 8 weeks of this challenge, my job is to get designed the perfect planner based on what people want. And Pete, you know the method quite well. Basically, how do you know what people want? You go to what's already selling up here, and you see what they include. I can buy this, which I will be doing, breaking it down, seeing what I like, what I don't like, then going to the reviews, and then basically seeing what people said they liked in this planner, and then going to the bad reviews and seeing what people said they don't like. I mean, if it crashes the system, you can't really help, but you see what people don't like in it, and you change it in yours. And I'm coming to a minimalist design as a unique selling proposition. And I've been doing a lot of Etsy research, and actually Etsy reward you for having a lot of products in your store. So I want one flagship product, which is going to be my ultimate planner. And then I'm going to have little sticker add-ons and stuff like that I'll get a graphic designer to whip up. And I'll put that in my store. So this is basically, and what I learned last week is this sales number is for the whole store. So they've done 4,647 sales, but that's across all of their products. You can go and see they've got quite a few products in here. But I bet you it's basically the same template, but slightly edited. But what I've been seeing is that it wouldn't be hard to sell 5 to 10 planners a day. If you can get a high ranking on the front page. Etsy ads apparently really powerful, using Pinterest to sell. And apparently it's a lot of momentum marketing too. So I'll get my friend Pete and other people to download one, get the listing moving, and see how customers respond, and keep tweaking it until I know I've got like a product that people really want. And the goal with this is to get to 6 figures over the next few months in the challenge, and stop messing around with like penny stocks.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, with ranking on this one, can you use things like Helium 10 to sort of see like what people are selling and how that's working?
There's no, as far as I can see, software, and I see that as a very good thing. So for something like Amazon, There are softwares that people use, for everyone doesn't know, like Jungle Scout or Helium 10, that gives you the breakdown of what's selling well on Amazon. It shows you the behind the scenes data. Etsy is very artist focused. It's like, oh, here's my homemade socks for your newborn baby. And it's like the lady who's selling newborn baby stocks is not looking at like SEO data and like listing momentum and like unique selling propositions. It's very much like it's a good thing. But most people here are artists who like really love their product and want to share that with the world. They're not really like marketers or entrepreneurs or people who are like, how do I maximize sales? Although they may want it, they don't really know how. So there doesn't seem to be software, because there doesn't at the moment seem to be too much demand in that area that's going to give me great results. But you can basically manually do it all, because the Etsy algorithm is obviously placing these ones at the top, meaning that these ones are having the highest conversion rate and giving the most revenue and happy customers to Etsy. So I'll be buying all of these, downloading them, and
very nice,
building a Frankenstein of a digital planner that puts all the good stuff in one.
I like it.
Yeah,
that's good.
The only other thing I'm doing is following DumbMoney. I don't even talk about them because I talk about them every week, and mirroring some of Chris Camillo's trades so I can learn what he's looking at. And that's going to be more of a longer term strategy, trade some options and get a little bit of leverage behind that. But I repeat this week, those two things are the only things that I am focused on, because although there are a lot of opportunities, I'm one person to get distracted by all the opportunities and not make money on, or make very little money on all of them compared to like nailing one. Why can't I be the number one top selling planner on Etsy and make $200,000 a year on that? There's no reason. It's just, if the only reason I can't is if I get distracted.
I agree. I'm interested to see how you go with that. I mean, you've obviously been incredibly successful on Amazon, so why not on Etsy?
Why not on Etsy? Digital product, no problems. It automatically delivered. Get a Filipino.
Can you sell that same digital product on Amazon?
I don't know. I don't think you can do. Not that I've seen digital products on Amazon. They do Kindle, like books, but I haven't seen a PDF that you can sell on Amazon. They have things like Gumroad, which I looked at, but you really sort of have to drive your own traffic to that, which is not like supporting artists sort of sales platform. And also I fear that maybe I should, like, if I'm going to cross sell it, I should get it up to a certain point, prove the product on Etsy first, and then cross sell. But I'll get a little, or big, doesn't matter on the size, but a customer service assistant from the Philippines, speak perfect English. Very, very happy working at $5-6 an hour. And that'll be my only expense.
I like it. Very good. All right. Well, I'm going to jump into what I've been working on a little bit over here, and let me just open her up in the background. And of course, in that Amazon itself.
Oh, we're getting the big reveal.
Oh, a little bit of a big reveal. There's going to be an Amazon. Yeah, we say here. Cool. So what I've been working on is working through this little course here, which is by a good friend of mine, Benjamin Wilson, as we call him. Wow. And I'm actually 34% of the way through, which is exactly the same amount as I was last week and the week before, which is quite poor when you think about it like that. But I've actually started a company with a good friend of mine, Matt Wilson. Any relation? Stepbrothers. Got it. And it's called Physi-erg, our company. It's registered now, so we have a registered company.
Wow.
We're in the process of having it all professionally set up now via our trust. So just to make it the most tax effective way of doing it. It's an Australian company, and what we found out is through an Australian company, we can sell perfectly fine through both the Australian Amazon as well as the American Amazon. So we'll actually look at doing both and listing in both, which is super cool. We've got our first product, which we're sending off to get a few quotes on, which I won't reveal just yet until we put it up on the Amazon store. And once we have our first sale, that's when I'm going to do the big reveal of what we've created. So we're in the process of creating the product at the moment, and physio, you can guess it's something to do with physio.
You're not telling him you're selling fish tanks?
I Shh. God damn it. Oh.
It's not live, bro. I'll cut it.
So yeah, we can cut that. That's cool. But one of my goals is to finish the rest of this course over the next 2 weeks. So I've given myself 2 weeks to complete this course so that I can understand a little bit more of the process we're going through. I've been doing this with, like I said, a friend of mine, Matt, and he's a lot further through. And at the moment, he's doing a lot of the logistical stuff, and I'm working on like how do we make the best product from a physio and a health standpoint, as well as finding the most tax effective way of running it all behind the scenes with my accountant. Even things like, let's say you were to create this business and you want to sell this business. And in Australia, there's different ways. Let's say you sell a business, you're going to have capital gains. And I can't remember exactly, but I think it's, if this is 90% of the income to your trust, 90% or more, then you can claim a 50% discount on the capital gains if you've held it for more than 12 months, and then another 50%. So let's say you sold it for $1 million, you'd claim a 50% discount on the capital gains, and then another 50. So you'd only have, let's say you got taxed $450,000, let's say $500,000 to make it nice and easy, $500,000. So you get a 50% discount, so now it's $250, but then you get another 50, so now it's $125. So you're only getting taxed $125,000 rather than $500,000. Now, this only works if it's 90% of the income to the person in the family trust there. Now, if I was to put that in the family trust that I have at the moment, it wouldn't work because I'm going to have other incomes coming in. It wouldn't be more than 90%.
Must be nice.
So what you
must be really nice.
Must be nice. So if you
sold it for 100 million, would that cross the 90% threshold? Would you need $1 billion sale?
There's $3 billion out. No. So if I put that in another family, so create a second family trust and put it in that, and it's the only thing within that family trust, whilst it does cost you more to set up the family trust, it's now the only income generator within that family trust. So if you're building it to sell it, having it in a separate family trust to the one where you normally get your income come through can save you a whole heap of tax down the road. So just these little things like that we're sort of learning in the background, going, wow, this is actually amazing. So that's
fantastic.
That's a big win. So we've set some lofty goals. We'd like to be first getting this to $10,000 a month of sales. So $10,000 a month revenue is going to be our first goal. And we're actually going to start a YouTube channel documenting our process or progress and processes from start to finish. And we're sort of also going to be reviewing some of this course as we go through. And for everyone who would like to get into, and we're showing some of the back end of this one, into doing Amazon, I thought it was the most insanely difficult thing ever. Like when I looked at Amazon and selling on that, I was like, everyone's going to lose money. Like it doesn't make any sense. Everyone's selling all the same shit. Like, how do you know what to sell? How do you know what to do on here? It just didn't make any sense. And like I said, I'm 34% of the way through, but I've already learned, a lot of the beginner's mistakes, a lot of the issues that arise. And I've already been able to understand, all right, well, this is the things I need to look out for. And this is how I can start to make money. And really looking forward to going through and looking at the different angles and finding niches. And I think we found a really good niche in what we're doing, and then just improving that product slightly. So it'd be really cool to see, as complete noobs who are going to invest, $5,000 or something into an Amazon company, how quickly can we get that to $10,000 US a month revenue from a 5,000 Australian dollar investment? And then from there, where can we go? And part of what we're doing as well is going to be spruiking this course of yours, Benji, like we said. And that's also going to be part of the income for the company, going, well, if we get an affiliate fee for this, the only reason people are going to buy this course through our affiliate fee is if we're really successful. Because if people look at it and go, these guys went from $0 a month to $24 a month within 2 years, no one's going to buy this course.
Here's how.
Here's how to lose money, right? There's plenty of other ways you can do that are much more fun. However, if we can go, let's say in 1 to 2 months to $10,000 rev a month, I think people are going to look at that and go, ooh, all right, well, I'd like to learn how to do that too. And for a very cheap investment of $2,000 US, they can get the course that's going to teach them how to make $10,000 US a month revenue. Disclaimer. Little disclaimer there. But for so many people, like I thought this was so far out of reach for most people, but for the average person, I don't think you couldn't do this. I think the average person, you don't need to be super smart. You don't need heaps of money. You can just be starting at a sort of low barrier to entry and build your way up and really become one of the whales in a certain niche and make a whole lot of money. And it could really change people's lives. So part of what we're doing there is going to be looking at, cool, let's create a YouTube channel. And maybe one day we've got a large enough audience to actually monetize that audience. At the same time, let's turn that company into a very profitable company that creates products that people love, and then create different products to sell and create a whole brand with the aim of maybe one day being able to sell that company. And while we're doing that, if we can absolutely nail each of those things, people are going to want to know how we did it. And so we're going to sell essentially affiliate link, or use our affiliate link to sell that course. So that's what I'm working on. That's the one thing I'm going to be working on this week. No other investments.
Whoa, really?
Just this. But I've invested every cent so far. I have to sell something in order to put money into this.
Sell the racehorse.
Currently have $30,000 invested. And I believe I'll probably be selling some of the center group when it comes time to the Westfield. But that's where I'm at the moment, is focusing on this one thing to generate income to then be investing.
I love it, dude. That's tight. See, it's a cool thing too. So e-commerce, I mean, we've been doing investing in the stock markets here on this channel, but e-com, it's like, cool. You can literally take $5,000 and you can turn it into $10,000 rev for the next 3 or 4 months. And it's like, if you're working on a 30% profit margin, you can double your money in a few months quite easily, just by having a physical product in the way of your investment. The downside to ecom is you can't really draw a salary, especially on something like Amazon, because you're going to run out of stock. You got other competitors with more stock in there. Amazon's really high demand, and you got to stay in stock, quite particularly to Amazon's warehouse rules, in order to be rewarded. So you cannot take, like, a lot of people want to leave their job and start an Amazon store. That's not recommended, because you're going to be
not recommended at all. This is not financial advice. This is business advice.
That is advice. That is advice. You do not, if you don't have a cash flow coming in, you're going to be overstretching yourself with 10K rev, because then you're eating all the profits. But if you have a cash flow, you have investments, you have a cushion, I don't know a better business, apart from maybe digital journals on Etsy. I don't know a better business than investing through a high quality product on ecom, especially Amazon.
Interesting. I like it. Very interesting. I'm interested for that, because I guess the way I'm going to look at that investment is reinvesting all of the profits. So rather than taking money out, reinvest all of the profits to get it to a point where you got a decision. And the decision is, you can either start taking money out as a salary. Let's say you're making 40K profit a month. Could you then take 10K out as a salary and 30K reinvested? And I'd be interested to know from you, where does that sweet spot happen where people could take a salary? Or is it best to reinvest everything and get it to a large sale multiple and sell the whole thing?
My personal thoughts are, if you're at the point where you're making 40K profit.
Yes.
Say you're doing 100 rev, you got a high profit margin product, and you're doing 40K profit. My theory is you should sell that instead of taking a salary, because for the 10K that you're taking out a month, that's another product that you could put under your brand. Ooh. And if you put the right product under your brand at 10K a month investment, the 10K every month going into it, there's no reason why you couldn't get a few. I don't want to put random numbers on there, but there's no reason why you can't add another 50% to your business. And so if someone else can do that very easily, they're going to pay more than what you're going to get taking a salary from it. But I also understand if people need it, you can take a salary from it. Just know it's going to stagnate your business a little bit.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. And just in the background, I've been looking at and just creating a little percentage here, because I think this is cool to look at too. So since we started, the S&P 500 is up, 1.09%?
I like this little addition.
Little addition here. 1.72%. And again, this is a wild swing due to crypto, but currently 12.25% up. And it's really interesting looking at, if you look at the S&P 500, it averages, let's say 8 to 11% per year. So we know if we're getting above, say, 11% for a year, we're doing pretty bloody good. But as long as we're beating the S&P 500, I'm pretty happy.
Yes, definitely. And I think this is a great wake-up call for me specifically. You're building your own business is always going to beat the S&P.
Yes, it is, because then you can bring it a whole lot faster. If your business wasn't beating the S&P,
you should. I don't know what you should do at that point.
It's time to get a job.
Because it's funny, because it's like 80% of professional investors won't beat the S&P. And that's year to year. It's not the consistent 20% that beat it every single year. So it's like consistently, you're not going to beat the S&P if you're an investor, chances are. If you're a business and you're beating the S&P, get out. And that's the best sign, if I've ever seen one, for me to do a little bit less investing on this not financial advice and a little bit more business, at least to get that ball rolling.
You're like, in this investing challenge, I need to do a little bit less investing to make some more money.
Make some more money so we can go gamble it on IPOs again.
Exactly.
Pay no tax.
Interestingly, if you reflect back on something like Warren Buffett, and I think we talk about this each time, is he talks about his rules of investing. The first rule is never lose money, and the second rule is remember rule number one. And a big part of that is every time you lose money, you lock in a loss, and that's money you then can't invest. So that's money that can no longer be invested in something. And when you see sort of going up and down, and I talked about this last time, and we'll release that soon, is when we're looking at it, we want to make sure that we're seeing gains over time, but we also want to make sure that we're not looking day to day, week to week, month to month, because you'll see fluctuations. But it's better to have, some down days, some down weeks, but a higher overall, rather than looking for a very small, slow growth. And that's what Warren talks about a lot. And another way of thinking about it is, if you were to invest in bonds, you'd probably see a very small, slow growth like that. And just because it's not going like this doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to get from $30,000 to $1 million here, which means we've got to do some crazy shit at times in order to make this happen. Outlandish things like digital horses. Like I was saying before, digital horses, you can buy crypto horses. They're not actually made of crypto. They're not real horses, but it's horses in an online world. And you can sort of invest in these things. And an interesting thing I found about words are fucking hard sometimes. An interesting thing that I found out about this is it's a hobby. It's not a technical investment, right? Which means you don't get taxed on the profits. So that's a big thing, right? If you're in the 30 to 45 cent tax bracket, that's an extra 30 to 45% gain at the end of the day. So
unreal.
Crypto digital horses.
Why is my English gone?
This may not be financial advice, but this is definitely gambling advice.
This is gambling advice.
This is definitely gambling advice, and I would get all around that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some fantastic topics we're coming across. That's why I like this challenge so much, because it's like, it just keeps you researching. Actually, to touch on one thing I was talking about earlier, the Apple owning sort of like the user attention over Facebook. Are you familiar with what Mark Zuckerberg's currently working on?
No.
So he is heading a Facebook metaverse, or it's essentially augmented reality.
That's cool.
And he's 100%, like his job is 100% to lead the augmented reality team. And I watched a fascinating interview with him and the MHKB guy, the YouTuber, very good. But it was a fascinating interview because he was talking like I said before, like Apple owns my attention because my attention's on this screen, and they can choose what Facebook can do on this screen. And it's funny because as soon as I said that, it reminded me of what I heard in this interview, which Mark Zuckerberg's working on augmented reality. And he talks about how a lot of the things in your physical world are no longer going to be there. This phone is going to be very outdated because it's physical. And what happens when augmented reality comes, you'll be wearing glasses or a contact lens or some piece of technology that's way beyond what I can conceive. And it'll change what you're literally perceiving in the world. So if I want my phone, I don't need to pick up glass and metal. And I literally can like click my fingers and a digital screen will appear. Or I can, if I want to watch TV, if anyone's ever done VR and they've watched TV in VR, it's a surreal experience because you're standing in your living room, but you're looking like you're in like some snowboarding cabin. And then there's a TV with like CNN or like Channel 9 or something that's like actual TV in the real world on in virtual reality. And you're like, wait, this is the most massive, crazy, amazing TV I've ever seen because it's like a movie, your own personal movie theater. And it's like, well, why would I watch TV not in virtual reality? And it's like, I'm talking to you on this laptop. It's like, my laptop's tiny. And it's like, if I just put my Facebook glass on or whatever, like you could be filling the whole screen. You could be a hologram. You could be projected in or something. It's like, it's fascinating that Mark Zuckerberg, because obviously he's super smart. He's just like going after, he's trying to get between the phone and my eyeball because he understands like the closer you get, the more that you actually own.
Bloody genius. I love him.
Do you own any land on Earth too?
I don't, but I thought Earth 2 is an interesting concept based on what you said there in terms of like, where are we actually going to be living and perceiving? And have you seen the movie Ready Player One?
I have read the book. I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, they wrote a book about the movie? So weird. But obviously the premise of that is having this digital world where people would go to essentially. And that's where they really live their life rather than living their life in the real world. And that's kind of what Earth 2 is like hinting towards going at. And people are currently buying, like if I just refresh this so it comes back to like the US, like people are buying land here. It's up 60,000% obviously since it started. So people are literally buying land on this digital Earth, which is Earth 2, which really currently has no value and no use other than selling it to someone with the greater fool theory. But one day, could we literally be living our lives inside of this Earth? Could we literally be going from our bedroom, same way in Ready Player One, to actually going there? And you've now got this, like maybe you own the Empire State Building because you're like, oh, this would be cool to buy straight up.
Buy for $1.
Yeah, like legitimately. And you can sell it for like $1 billion. But it's crazy. Like, look at these percentages that land's gone up because people are obviously wanting to buy it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Are you familiar with Decentraland as well?
No. Oh, I've heard about it, but I haven't looked into it at all.
Very similar to Earth 2. It owns its own crypto token. I think Mana or something it's called.
Yeah.
And that one is very interesting because they've got some like big time names in there. Coca-Cola is just got in, I think today.
Very nice.
I believe I could be mixing my stories, but I believe Formula One has a racetrack in there. And what you do is like you start because Earth 2 has zero utility, but Decentraland, like there is a F1 racetrack. And in Decentraland, you can go and race F1 cars because people play games just like you play Pokemon. Like they're playing the Decentraland game. And it's like, what happens is when you drive on the racetrack, for the percentage of racetrack that you own, you make that much money off the person who bought the ticket to drive the car around the track. So it's like all of a sudden you're having this little village of utility. I think Deadmau5 was the DJ. He played an exclusive song in Decentraland, and in order to access it, you had to have a certain NFT, a certain token on your account that you could have bought off. I don't know if it was buying Deadmau5's album in the real world or like something of utility, and all of a sudden you get like a behind the scenes club pass that you access from the comfort of your room. And it's amazing because all of a sudden there's that sense of community there too, where now you're meeting 60 other people who love Deadmau5 as much of you, and it's a very fascinating world.
Oh, that is an interesting one, isn't it?
Interesting.
That is Decentraland. All right, I'm gonna have a little bit more of a look into that one because that sounds.
I don't know, bro. So this is the part where I think we don't.
Oh, this is the shiny ball. This is that shiny ball we're talking about. I'm doing one thing. Decentraland.
Yeah. I think I might pledge I might pledge 60K before I get distracted. I'm going to do that here on the call because I know, I know I'm shaking your hand and the hand of everyone out there.
Everyone watching this
far, because I'm a shiny guy. I like to follow the shiny objects, and it's not working. And it doesn't work in real life either, but it just hides behind the few things that do pay off. And I think this is a great realization and challenge to me, because it's like I could like, all right, get to 60K, just do that one thing, which is my digital journal, which I'm actually quite passionate about. I love doing that stuff too. And then keep up with DumbMoney on the side. And so until I hit that 60K, I'm just going to be talking about those two things every week. I will touch on virtual reality, Mark Zuckerberg, digital racehorses, Decentraland. I will touch on that stuff maybe, but I will not be investing in it.
Interesting. Instead of following DumbMoney, you could follow not financial advice and see what's the trades we're making. I'm just saying.
See what Pete's making.
See what Pete's making. Could be good. But I like that. I like that a lot. I like the focus that you're going to have there. And I would try and obviously sway you off that so I can win this. Because I know the second you focus on something, it's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be good. Yeah, it's going to
be good. It's going to be good. So I'm very interested to follow that one. And obviously with no real overheads there, it's not going to limit your investing at all.
Right. What I might do is I might hire a couple of really baller graphic designers, because I'd like graphic design myself, but I want to have quite a few products in here because I saw Etsy reward that. So it's like, if I want 15 products, I don't want to have to design them all myself. So I'll design one and get them to model that sort of stuff. And just a note to future self who may come back here and be like, what was the actual terms I signed up to, so I could try and get around it. I can get as shiny as I want after 60. After 60. If you are craving the shiny, future Benj, get to 60 and you can go as shiny as you want. You can put all 30 on red.
Last thing before we sort of wrap this up for today, I want to know, when you looked at Etsy, and you've said it a few times now, they reward you having lots of different products in the store. How do you know that?
Well, the biggest reason that I know that is because I signed up to become a seller, and it said add products to your store, and it gave you 16 boxes.
Yeah.
And it was like, in the sign up process, it's step 3. It's like name, country, add products to your store. And there's 16 squares, 4x4, and you click it and you add a product to each. So I'm like, well, if they're looking, the biggest thing they're looking for is volume here. And then I watched a couple of YouTube videos from some people who sell 6 figures on Etsy, mostly mums. One mum who sells like Christmas wreaths, and she said that she thinks that that rewards them, and it lines up with their sign up process.
Yeah, that's nice. All right. Very interesting. I think I'll keep that in mind. But it's always interesting to think, how do we come to these? Like, and I'm sure people always will say, oh, but it's this or it's that, but helping people to understand the reason behind our thought processes, because it might seem obvious to us, some of these things, but to someone else, they're like, oh, well, if there's 16 boxes, it means you can put 16 things in there, right?
Right. Yeah, great question.
They've got a very good reason for doing that. They could give you 3 boxes or 2 boxes, and then you could add more if you like. But by having 16 there, that could really hint towards fill these up, because Etsy obviously makes money. I'm assuming every single sale, they're going to take a cut.
Yeah.
And they probably also look at it and go, well, when we have volume of trade going on and different volume of products, we sell more products if we have more volume.
Right.
And so they're probably pushing for volume.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fantastic question.
So love it. All right.
What are you working on this week?
Working on this week is going to be Amazon. I want to, like I said, 2 weeks to finish that entire Amazon course. We're sending our R&D off probably this evening to get some quotes from different suppliers.
Did you say how much you're investing in this?
I didn't say how much I'm investing in this, but we are doing, I believe, 7,000 Australian between us, which is 3,750, quick math, each.
7,500 total?
7,500 total. We're investing in this. And that's going to be for product and ads.
Awesome.
Amazing. And I'm still going to have that 1,250 left over. And then that can be invested if I see an opportunity for investments, or reinvesting into that if I'm like, no, a little bit more capital is going to help this to grow faster. So looking between those two. But I think my biggest investment there so far has been actually starting a business with Matt, because I'm a huge believer in investing in people. And I think when you work with good people, you get amazing results. And you invest in people who are strong in your weaknesses. And at the moment, I'd say, I think for me is there's a couple of weaknesses. Maybe time poor is one of the weaknesses. So investing in someone who has the time to be doing that, but also in financial drive, which is a really interesting one. So investing in someone who isn't where they want to be financially yet, because I think we can both relate and go, we're both very comfortable financially. We both live really incredible lives, I think, for what we do. Like, obviously we've got goals and things we want to achieve, but it's really easy, I think, to get comfortable and not put in heaps of time and effort, because you're like, well, I'm actually doing really well and I'm really enjoying where I'm at the moment. So investing in someone who's not there yet and who has that drive gives me a lot more drive. And I also really want to help them to get there too. So there's that drive of like, I really enjoy helping people. It's probably why I got into physio in the first place. Being in business with someone who has that drive, but also has that time and is putting in that effort, like, it's unreal. So I think investing in people and investing in Matt in this case is probably my best investment at the moment.
I love that. Great lesson.
What about yourself, mate? What is happening this week?
Well, there's one thing happening this week on my end. And what am I going to do? I'm going to do a complete market research on Etsy. And I'll be presenting that next week. And I'm going to start my design. I need to get together, not my ideal design, but the customer's ideal design. And there'll be a way I'll be split testing that, whether that's on Etsy or maybe on Pinterest or something else, just to get some feedback before I go ahead. And then I do also want to look into, this won't be this week, but Etsy ads. Apparently Etsy ads are quite powerful. I've done eBay ads before where they take a percentage of the sale. I think Etsy ads might work the same way. So on Amazon ads, you pay per click. So you're like, hey, Amazon, this is my product. I'm selling drink bottle lids. I'll give you $1 for everyone who clicks. They typed in drink bottle lid and they click on mine. I'll give you $1. So it's very transactionally based, which is great for Amazon. Honestly, Amazon ads are pretty powerful too. So it's great for you. But eBay ads work. You give them a percentage of the sale if they buy. So, hey, Etsy, I sell drink bottle lids. I'll give you 30% of the sale if you can get someone to buy. So you actually you're paying for a sale, which digital products is fantastic for. So if I can find out some keywords that other people are selling physical products in and therefore have lower margins, higher costs, I might be able to just own some of that ad space very profitably, because it doesn't cost me anything to send them a digital product. I could break even for a bit, get some momentum, and find out where I can make just a few dollars a sale. So I'll be looking to that long term.
I like that. That's actually really interesting. I didn't know that about eBay.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It works really well because it's a level playing field. Like if you're selling the same product to someone else, should have the same margin.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna look into that. Actually, you know what? I'm not looking into that just yet.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
Come take a peek.
Can take
a few hours on it.
Just pick up the top here. What's over there? Just a few hours. All right. Well, I think that rounds up this episode for me. Like I said, this next week is going to be looking into more of the Amazon stuff and making sure we get this store up and running. For you, it sounds like it's going real deep into Etsy. Words today have been real, like my mouth, I don't know if I'm dry or just like dead set, like losing my mind. I did get a cold the other day.
German is your preferred language.
Yeah.
There as a boy.
Right? Meine Deutsch ist sehr scheiße.
Yeah, it's smooth. Yeah. Very smooth.
Very, very smooth. So I think that wraps up today's episode. I'm really looking forward to coming back together next week and going Amazon versus Etsy 1v1, digital product versus non-digital product.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Low margins, yes. High margins,
low margin.
That's my kind of business.
Awesome. If you guys are still watching, hit that like and that subscribe button to see these journeys, because it's starting to get serious, I think. Long snap Pete shown flexing. And I'm like, yeah, I like it. So things are going to heat up.
A little bit. And I'll be linking below our other channel, which is going to be Amazon $0 to $10,000 in less than a year, hopefully a month.
Right, $10,000 revenue
in
less than a year.
Less than a year, hopefully a month.
Hopefully a month.
Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
guys.